Hey guys, if you're looking for help with your Amazon business in terms of troubleshooting or strategy, visit sellersessions.com/consultancy or drop me a message to danny@sellersessions.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring back Liran. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me back on.
Cool.
Yes.
Right, so today we're going to talk about the devastation of one-star review. Now, we've had a joke about it before because when you was in the exclusive programs, you had a product, you got a one-star review. But I've been thinking about this over the last few days. It hasn't happened to me. But when you think of the sheer size of an investment that you put in and the Russian roulette that you play when you're playing the game right, yeah? So what I'm saying is you're staying within terms of service. So I'm going to put this out there now. I'm not saying I'm willing to do it, but I totally understand why people break terms of service. And this is what we can get into. So do you want to give the audience a little bit of backstory? Again, I'm not saying that I agree that you should do it and necessarily I would break terms of service. But what I'm saying is that because you don't get a fair shake with Amazon,
Yes.
it's crippling, even if it's not your fault. If you got a fair shake, it's a different story. But anyway, let's talk about what brought me around to this thought process is with the product that you had, that you launched, that you were panicking, you got a one-star review. So take up the story and then we can.
Yeah. And this wasn't a cheap product to source. This was probably probably $10,000 into the product, about 1,000 units at, like $11 or so, like 11 grand, into this product. And the first review is a one-star review. And man, that's killer, right? Because with a one-star review, your PPC is not going to convert. If you've just done a ranking campaign, well, you can sure bet that you're not going to maintain your ranking because nobody's going to buy. You might have to lower your price deeply to get people to buy. That's going to ruin, you think about future potential lightning deals that's going to kill. It's got such a ripple effect that it's a major, major killer. It's a conversion killer. Yeah. And so I was deeply worried. With this product, I was lucky that I was in a FBA Vine pilot program. This was the only product I had in the program. And I was worried, lucky and worried. I was worried that more one-star reviews are going to come in, especially from these Vine customers, because they do tend to be more critical. Yeah. But, I sort of had no choice but to keep going. We could talk about some of the choices that you have to do that. I knew I had more reviews coming, and thankfully, while the Vine reviewers were critical, I had some 4 stars, some 5 stars, and maybe a couple of 3 stars from them. Overall, the reviews were generally pretty good, and now the product, continues to sell really, really well. But the way Amazon works, and we were kind of talking a little bit before the show here, and I was thinking, what if Amazon, it could be positive and negative, but what if Amazon waited until you had 5 reviews to display them on a product? Maybe that would give you more of a fair shake. At the same time, you don't want to wait until you have 5 reviews to show up on the product, because it's just going to take longer. But there should be some kind of happy medium. But yeah, getting that one-star review on a product starting out is a killer. There are ways to recover from it, and there are things you could do. And of course, I think it makes you think about, what am I going to do to combat this? And is there ways to do this within terms of service, or should I break terms of service in order to deal with this? Yeah.
So let's just break out a few things that you've said there. Let's just say nowadays for a decent launch, you're probably spending about 15, 20 grand, right? You said you spent 11 grand on the product, but that's without anything else. That's just your cost of goods sold. That's not your marketing, your packaging, your design, all those kind of things. If any new trademarks and stuff like that. So put it in perspective, right? You launch a product and say that you're either doing giveaways or you're going hard on PPC. So you're overspending on PPC anyway to get the visibility. Right. If you can, obviously, you've got to be super relevant because sometimes on top keywords, you won't show straight away. And sometimes you've got to do giveaways to get the relevance, to get the keyword to show, to then run the ad. So that becomes tough in itself. So then you've got the problem is that people will buy products, depending on what they are, for the right price, when there is no reviews, right? It's tougher. I find that if you've got a really good product and you reduce the price for a coupon code, whatever you do, great imagery and stuff like that, and you're 20, 30% below the market average, but you offer more value than the next product, and you're willing to go hard on the PPC, you might convert every 6, 7, 8 clicks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the moment you were to say, get that 1-star review, that tanks everything, right? Because people don't care. Someone could just write a 1-star review, says, and it could just say late delivery. And Amazon don't do anything about it. Even though they say if it's down to delivery, etc., you know the whole thing. Amazon is always will turn around and say to you, it's about terms of service. People don't look at that. They look at the star rate and they go, it's got 1 review and it's 1 star. It leaves you very limited in terms of how you're going to return it. Because it's not like, oh, don't worry, I'll spend a few grand or a few $100 or pounds on PPC to get out of this. Because you may not be able to get out of it because people simply goes, I'm not buying that because there's 1 star. I'm not even going to click through and look at it and read the review, even though it could be a competitor. They don't care.
Right. So, we know people don't read reviews, right? Because this is why people will move a vacuum cleaner variation on a makeup brush with 10,000 reviews, and it sells like crazy because it's got 4.5 stars and nobody reads the reviews. Right. So we know that.
Yeah. So I say again, I'm not saying you should do this, but when you don't get a fair crack of the whip, this is why people go, I won't send all of my stock in. I'll only send a percentage of my stock in because they're shit scared this is going to happen. Because why? They want to pay 60 cents to pull out them 200 or 300 units once they get the 1 star and then launch it on a new ASIN so they can start from fresh because that recovery rate. So then I don't know the exact mathematics. You get your first review is a 1 star, right? So let's just say you've got a 2 or 3% conversion rate. So you've got to sell 100 units to get 2 to 3 reviews. Bearing in mind, you've already got a 1 star. How do you get there? How do you jump the shark?
So I think there's some things you could do. So, one thing I would do, we would need to evaluate, right? But let's say you made the decision, I'm going to keep this listing, right? I'm not going to go on a new ASIN. Yeah. What do you do? Well, one thing you could do is you could do a deep discount giveaway, right? Give away units at 90% off. Then pull that audience from your, using like a managed by stats or a bridge, by 6leaf. Yeah. Pull that audience and advertise to them on Facebook and say, hey, if you recently bought our product, we'd love for you to leave feedback. Try to get 2 or 3 unverified reviews at least just to show up, even if they're going to get deleted down the road. Yeah. Try to get those unverified reviews. And what you really need to do is it's going to cost you money, right? Because you're going to need to do that. That I think would be sort of within terms of service. The things that are not, is like going to friend of a friend,
Okay, so let me ask you a question here. I would say that's much cleaner than actually taking Amazon data and then appending to a Facebook audience. I don't think they like that. I'm not clear on. But you still agree. Like, we're talking slightly grey here. So is that a suspension? Yeah, maybe. But what would be smoother is replacing the ASIN. Again, I repeat, I'm not saying it's right. But if Amazon gave you a fair shake. Now, my thing is, if you've got a shitty product and you got a bad review because it's crap, that's your problem. That's your fault. You have to own that. But what happens if you've got an unfair review? There is no fair shake from Amazon. And what I look at is that a 1-star review, what's it going to take you to get back in the game? 10 good ones? 9 good ones? Right. Where are those 9 good ones coming from? If you're probably going to have your review conversion rate is going to drop from, say, 2 to 3, 4% to a 1%. That's 1,000 units. How long is it going to take to sell 1,000 units when you've got to only market with PPC to get the visibility where you're paying over the odds for the cost per click because no one wants to buy a product with a 1-star review?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, if it happens to you at a time like this, right, and you think about doing a removal order, that's going to take you like 2 weeks to get back that stock probably. Yeah. And that, and right now in November, that's a killer. So there's certain times when time is really of the essence. Like if it happened right now, I wouldn't want to do a removal order because by the time I get the stock back and I send it back in, I'm kind of screwed for holiday sales. Or I might withdraw it and put a merchant fulfilled listing, and put a delayed time until I send that in and start doing it that way. I think, you know, one of the least risky things you could do is kill the ASIN and do another one, because there's really no way for Amazon to sort of detect anything,
Yeah.
you know, when it comes to that. So that is one of the cleanest things that you could do. And then of course there are things outside of terms of service, right? Like asking your wife's coworker's cousin, right, who is totally not connected to you in any way, to buy the product at full price, and leave a review. And, you know, if you get a couple of those, then you might go from 1 star to 3, you know, and you might be okay. But Amazon makes it so that, you know, sellers sometimes need to think creatively on what you could be doing to, you know, to get by. And, you know, what if that 1 star review is a competitor, you know, then it's like, then it totally makes you want to sort of get into something gray or black hat, because now you're like, hey, you know, I just got screwed. Like I need to fix this. Yeah. It's very difficult.
So, I mean, like going back to one of the things that the whole point of the show is to say, well, this is how Amazon could resolve it. And I know we discussed this, you know, you recovered well because you knew more reviews were coming because you were an exclusive program. So you had a great advantage there by your own admission. The thing is, you had a great product and the reviews were great. So the first one was, sure, someone didn't like it, but it wasn't a pattern. So it wasn't like the product was bad. You were able to recover.
Right.
So if Amazon to open that up, which the irony is that the review program is basically, we're paying Amazon money to buy reviews, but buying reviews is against terms of service. So we live in a crooked, crazy world. Yeah.
Right.
So my point is imagine if they would just open that up, even if it's still a paid service is higher. I've said to you on the show before, if Amazon said, Dan, pay $1,000, get yourself 30 reviews, I'll pay that all day long.
Right.
You won't have to worry about anything like a negative, like, what's it worth to you? You can get one negative review and blow up a 15 grand investment, or you can spend $1,000 for a gritted tea, give it to Amazon, knowing that, yeah, you're going to get 4 stars, 3 stars, but at least you know you're going to get a volley of reviews, and then you'll get the balanced opinion, which should be enough to carry the product through. And truly, you'll know then whether the product's any good or not, because Vine reviewers are pretty harsh.
Right.
To win them over, you should be able to win over the average Amazon customer.
And what you said, you know, as a strategy makes a lot of sense. Don't send all your stock into Amazon, because then if you do get that 1 star, then you can potentially just start a new ASIN, assuming your product quality isn't crap, like you said. But, you know, there's things you could do, obviously, like the early reviewer program, but the early reviewer program kind of sucks,
it's terrible.
Right?
It's terrible.
It can take a month or 2 before you even get 1 review out of the program. Like, why doesn't Amazon, like, you know, put that offer up, pop up the offer on the app? Open up the app. Hey, get $5. Leave a review on your latest product. I'm not incentivized like in any way. I already bought the product at full price. Like I'm not, you know, why like Uber, right? You go in an Uber. I just, you know, I landed here. An Uber, pop up my airport ride from New York, right? That my previous ride, I put 5 stars. Boom, I'm done. Why doesn't Amazon make it a little bit easier for sellers? They don't have to burden the customers, and there will be a lot less black hat tactics if it was much easier to get reviews. That early reviewer program, sucks, right? You should be able to get those 5 reviews fast and easy, you know, and Amazon could charge us more for it, you know, by doing a better job, right? Doing that pop up on the app. But, you know, we're secondary, you know, in Amazon's ecosystem. I guess what they don't realize is there's a loop there, right? If it's easier for us to get the reviews, then the reviews are more legitimate, which is ultimately better for the customer.
And because they're Vine reviews, their own customers will trust those Vine reviews more. I've seen it because I've had Vine reviews on products, and it's almost like it adds rocket fuel to it, right?
Yes.
Because it's like a badge of honor. So I think that actually is a good testament for customers. I think that would be to Amazon's advantage, but I understand you can't do it at tremendous scale. So you charge for the service. Then people choose. Do I want to pay out the backside for that? Sure.
Right.
Do you, or you don't? You don't. Simple as that. That's your choice.
Right.
We lack those kind of choices because we're not on a balanced marketplace, because it's weighted in the customer's advantage, which is fine, but we don't get a fair shake. And when we look at this and when you break it down, it's pretty crazy what we do as all of us who people listening to the show, the money we put up, the hours and lengths we go to launch a product, to put in the marketplace, and just in a blink of an eye, bam, it's game over to a point.
Right.
And that recovery process is pretty difficult.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so you need to be able to think outside the box and, like you said, kill the ASIN, or have a good strategy to get more reviews without, without being like totally black hat, or, in some kind of way where you can recover. But it's not easy.
Again, like as I said, I'm not advising changing that ASIN, but I'm saying I understand why people do. I mean, there's some really dirty black hat stuff that people can do, but when you've got 15, 20 grand at stake and you've done nothing wrong, or Amazon doesn't review the 1-star review that is down to an Amazon delivery issue, and that's still a blemish on your listing, you can't move forward. And it don't matter if you go to the captive team and stuff, some stuff you won't get reviewed. At that point, I'm thinking, well, if Amazon are not willing to play their own game and stick by their rules, I understand why someone would do that. I'm not agreeing with it, but I understand thinking, because
absolutely.
You leave no one the option. You need to give people options, I believe. And if you take everything off the table, then it's not, it's a rigged game then, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, totally agree.
Okay. So we're both jet lagged, two bald guys moaning from different rooms. What else is going on in your world at the moment?
So I just came back from the Canton Fair. I was there for phase 2. I then went on to the Global Sources Summit and shows. I had a really good experience at Canton. I found new potential product opportunities. And, when I walk around there and, I hear sellers saying, everything is saturated, blah, blah, blah. To me, that's all excuses. It's totally not the case. There's so much opportunity. I saw some new things. I saw ways to bundle things. I mean, just so much opportunity. If you think a little bit creatively, I mean, there's, for me, I'm looking there like kid in a candy store, there's way more opportunity than I have money to launch, to go launch 20, 30 products, right now. So I had a very good experience there. I'll tell you one quick story. So I was in the process of like sourcing before I went to the show. I was looking on Alibaba and was looking to source this product. I had made some unique design changes to the product, got a sample. Anyway, I'm walking with my business partner on this brand, Kellyanne, and we're walking, and we happened to see a booth that had kind of like similar products. And so we start talking to the guy and, asking some pricing. And then Kellyanne goes, wait a second, that's our sample. Okay. Our sample was right there with our unique design. So we knew it was ours. And we're like, where'd you get this? And well, it turns out, this was the factory directly in Shenzhen that, was making the product. And, we could source it for about half the price from, the trading company that we were dealing with, on Alibaba. And it's just amazing. So those are the kind of things that can happen, I think, when you actually go to China, go to the Canton Fair, and can meet face to face and touch the products. And I definitely think it's a good opportunity, if you have the budget, right? If you're already selling for a little bit, if you have 5,000-10,000 to start, my advice, don't go to China. But if you have the budget to make the trip, I think it's a good opportunity. And I think the key is coming back and capitalizing on everything you saw, because you can get lost in your day to day when you come back and not follow up on the catalogs you saw and the products and everything else. And you really need to make sure that you have that follow-up process to sort of take advantage of it.
Yeah, most definitely. I'll tell you a quick story as well, and I won't go into names or anything else, but I spoke to guys in my group, and apparently, obviously I don't have any proof of this, one of the guys in our group, a friend of theirs that was out with in China with like the sourcing groups and stuff like that, and apparently one of the people who were out there is that Amazon walked in with their sample into their factory and said, can you do this product $4 lower? So basically, a private labeler that sells on Amazon, they've used their sample as an example and said, we want to make this, but for $4 cheaper. And good on the factory, they turned them down and said, one, we couldn't produce that product because it's a lower price product, $4 off just wouldn't be feasible. And two, we've got a good relationship with the people that we work with, and we won't want to spoil that. So that's pretty heavy, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's crazy because, you know, this is like the, you know, everybody talks about Amazon having all this data and like, you know, supply chain connect, you know, do you want to give your supplier, I'm not putting my supplier information into Seller Central. So, you know, so like Amazon can just get all my data, but yeah, you know, when they ask you for invoices and all that.
Authenticity claims, you know, I know you can scrub out the supplier, but most people don't bother because it's like, I just want to be not suppressed or suspended. You know, you can have the data.
And when, you know, when Amazon asks me for an invoice or something, or in the past, what I do is I make an invoice from my LLC to my brand because I consider myself the manufacturer, and I'm not giving Amazon my supplier contact ever. But yeah, it just goes to show, you know, Amazon, you know, has all the data. My answer to that is that, you know, you should go into the niches because Amazon is looking for mass market, you know, $100 million market, you know, kind of opportunities. And if you focus on the niches, you're less likely to kind of, you know, deal with that versus if you focus on a very mass market type product. But Amazon has all the data, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, if we look at it realistically, we as sellers are first to use people's products. As an example, you order your competitions and you talk to your factory and say you want to build something like that. Yes. Amazon probably has to do the same thing to show as well. So they're just doing business, but the difference is it's our data.
Yeah, but they have an ethical relationship with us, the seller, where I as a seller don't have this, you know, this relationship with another seller. They're a competitor versus, you know, Amazon's relationship with a seller should not be that.
And again, I must say, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So I'm sharing a story, but I can't prove it. But I do very much believe the source. There is absolutely no reason for them to lie and make stuff up. And to be honest, why wouldn't they? Because they have their own private label brands to sell on Amazon, and they've got the data there. They're going to do it. If it's not your product, my product, it's going to be someone else's, and they need to use a sample. So why not that person's that they use? Right. You know what I mean? It just could be someone else's sample.
And you know, they're just going to keep growing because, you know, now they have this program where they want to invite you to be part of their private label program. Yeah. Part of their brand program. I actually filled out the form. On two of my brands, they got back to me on one, and then they sent me this whole Excel spreadsheet that I haven't looked at yet. But just to kind of see, you know, what they're kind of offering. But you know, they're definitely looking to grow their own business on the private label brand side, and I think ultimately, you know, acquire private label brands or put them under the Amazon umbrella. And eventually, I think put them into the, you know, these 4-star stores that they opened up one in New York and one in now Denver, where it's just featuring, you know, all 4-star products. So, but, you know, maybe that's a good opportunity for sellers with good products to be able to get into, you know, the future of like physical retail through Amazon.
Makes sense. Cool. Let's wrap that there. What's the best way that people can reach you?
So we have a Facebook group, Amazing Freedom Amazon Sellers. You can also hit me up on Facebook, Liran at AmazingFreedom.com. And then we have a podcast as well, Amazon Seller Podcast.
Sounds good. Guys, thanks for joining us. Liran, thank you for joining us, even though you've got jet lag like me. We'll see you all again soon. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Take care.